Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Conscious Grief series. Today, I am joined by Cheryl Fidelman, who is the Conscious Codependence Coach and somebody who's very dear and special to me. I'm sure people who have watched previous series have heard us speak before, but Cheryl and I met many years ago now, like over a decade ago on Venice Beach. And I've worked with Cheryl for all of those years, on and off, and she has been an amazing coach to me. So I'm so grateful to get the opportunity to share your work again. And Cheryl focuses on codependence, which, because one of its most obvious ways that we demonstrate our unhealed trauma in relationships. And her conscious codependence methodology blends a mix of somatic experiencing, cognitive behavioral therapy, and intersubjective meditation to reestablish her clients' self-worth by cultivating a deep sense of belonging within their psyche, spirit, and nervous system. So welcome back, Cheryl.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm so grateful to be here. This is maybe my third Conscious Grief series with you, or I'm not sure. Yeah.
I think so. And when we were having a session before Christmas, I thought, yeah, we need to go deeper into why us codependents have a hard time, maybe a harder time, letting go when we're in the process of a breakup than other people. And that this would be a really interesting thing to explore for this summit. I don't know whether I can say I'm a recovering codependent yet, even, but I definitely keep having relationships that are painful when I break up. So that was the theme of why we're going to have this conversation today. So in your experience, Cheryl, why do you think codependents might have a harder time when it comes to relational breakups?
Well, how much time do you have?
You can use the whole half an hour to talk about that.
Well, I want to start with the fundamental methodology of my work, conscious codependence. And the fundamental methodology, which is like the framework through which the process takes place, is the three tenets of conscious codependence: the want to be wanted, the need to be needed, and the need to prove oneself. And those who are listening, there's a PDF on my website, cherylfidelman.com, that breaks down, it's a free PDF, and it breaks down the developmental roots, common behavioral patterns of each tenet, and some questions to customize it to your experience. And the reason why I'm bringing up the three tenets is because we have a hard time, an extra hard time, and breakups for anybody oftentimes aren't easy, whether you identify as codependent or not, but we have an extra hard time because we still want to prove ourselves to the person. We still want them to want us. We still want them to need us. So our focus is still on them. And oftentimes, and it's not just like in an actual official breakup or an official divorce. Sometimes when we're in relationship, when we're in the moment of a conversation, we don't even want to separate in a moment, right? The conversation is not working, we're butting heads, but we can't let go and walk away and take space because we want to keep proving to the other person. We don't want to take space because we think they're going to think we're rejecting them or we're going to feel rejected. And so we stay in the hook of the codependence because we want to keep the connection going. And codependence is the illusion of connection. It's the illusion of intimacy. It's an addiction to dialogue. You say this, I say that. I say this, you say this. I have to be right, you have to be right. We have to keep proving because we are constantly looking to be seen. We're constantly looking to be understood. Even though it's obvious that might not be happening, but we get into this hook of wanting to be seen, of wanting to get that oxygen from that person. And then you add in a divorce or a breakup, and we're still wanting them to see us either as innocent or wanting them to see us as good or prove our innocence or prove our goodness. We're also over there with them thinking, oh my gosh, we're broken up. I haven't talked to them in a month. I want them to I want to remind them to eat well, right? Or I want to remind them to organize their drawers because that's the job I used to do. And I still want to do that for them because I can't imagine me not doing that job for them. And now they're not going to do it and their life is going to go to hell without me, right? So it's hard for us to quit our jobs that we had with them or that we created with them because we were such people pleasers. We were taking care of so much of their world. Now we can't let go of that world that we took so much care of.
And then that would...
I just said a lot. There's a lot of pieces.
No, not at all. But then, like you're saying, these sort of behaviors where we're worried their world is going to implode, so we want to kind of keep hooked in by giving these, help or asking if they're okay, things like that, keeps the connection in some shape or form.
Well, it's the illusion of connection because in our codependence, the concern is out there, that their world is going to implode. But what we can't face is our own world imploding. We can't face the myriad of thoughts, sensations, emotions that we're feeling. And that's one of the reasons why we hook onto another person and we focus more on somebody else's reality than our own. That's the simple, basic definition that I use with codependence. So we're way more focused on one or more other people's realities than our own, and serving their reality than serving our own. And it's mainly because we don't know how to feel all there is to feel when we're separated or disconnected from another person. Our reality, our safety, our nervous system, our clarity in life comes from somebody else's reality. And so now we don't have that person, and we don't know how to embody our experience and actually be in relationship with ourselves. We're not in a relationship with another person. There is no relationship. There's a lostness. Yeah. And so in a breakup, I don't know if I ever shared this with you, but I work with a lot of people going through divorce. And at one point, a few years ago, I had 7 clients, which was like at the time, maybe a quarter, 25% of my practice, 7 different clients going through divorce. And so I really was like in the divorce world, like, look, divorce can happen. They're like, divorces are like snowflakes, right? So many different ways and sets of circumstances. But one of the things that I notice about divorce is that it's often an opportunity, should one take it to be, to transform on so many different levels, right? So we're releasing the identity of being a wife or a husband or a partner. That's an identity in and of itself. We're releasing the construct, right? Which is we lived in a house and I did this thing and this was your responsibility. This is my responsibility. We have our schedule and we have the kids. And so there's a whole construct of time and environment. There's the form, there's the identities. And now we let all those go and we go, there's a lostness, but then an opportunity to go, well, now what is my identity? And so on the other side of relational grief, on the other side of codependent grief, is often the opportunity to recreate ourselves. Meaning, who am I if I'm not this identity, if I'm not hooked into this person, if I'm not serving one or more other people, the partner, the husband, the wife, the children, the job? Who am I just in and of myself? And for a lot of codependents, that is a really difficult thing to face.
Because we always want to be hooked into somebody else's reality and not...
Yeah, because that tells us what to do. Okay. So I can find what I need to do with my day if I know what you need. I know what this other person needs. I know what my boss needs, my business partner, or my children, or my partner. And I know what to feel if I know what you feel. Okay. So if you're not happy, I know that I should feel of service. Right. And so everything, our doingness, our beingness comes secondary, meaning I look at you and then I know who to be. I look at you, and then I know what to do. And so now in a breakup or a divorce, or even in a momentary separation, like I said earlier, you need a couple of days break from your partner. You're not going to break up, you're not going to get divorced, but man, I need some oxygen. Who am I when I am not looking at you to find who I am?
Mm.
And for a lot of us, at some point in our childhood, we dissociated from ourselves, or we never even were associated with ourselves. Like for me, I'm not sure I had a lot of trauma that disconnected myself from myself, but I'm not sure I was even born into having a self and then it went away. I think I was born into just like not having a self because of like the level of mental illness with my mom, but that's sort of that's a little bit of a digression. So what we're doing in the conscious codependence process is we're helping you locate yourself. Who is myself, and how do I feel, and what do I think? And if it's not if it's not based on other people's reality, what is my own reality? What is that? And sometimes that can be a crisis. Mm-hmm. And that crisis comes in these breakups or in these divorces, where it's like some level of personal crisis. Who am I if I am not of you? If I'm not fitting into your reality? Something else I was going to say. Oh, yeah. In this like healing world, we hear a lot of these phrases like self-care and self-love and self-awareness. Well, for me, like earlier on in my codependence recovery and for a lot of my clients, it's like, okay, great. Well, self-love is great, but what if you don't have a self? Like, then what? Like, where do I put this love? Like, where do I locate it? I know how to love other people. I really know how to be aware of other people and what's going on for them. But how do I be aware over here, and how do I love over here? And that's a huge part of my work, the conscious codependence process. As we develop a self within you and an inner alignment so that you can actually be in relationship with your own truth and your own reality and your own voice and your own feelings and sensations, regardless of what's going on with everybody else.
Mm. Isn't that wild? Isn't it wild that we, can go so much of our lives realize and then think, I don't have a self. And I don't know what that means. I don't know what makes me happy, or, how I feel, because like you say, you're always relating to how's everybody else feeling, or what do they think of me, and do they like me? And, basing all of our own sort of inner peace on how we are accepted or treated by other people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's unbelievably common. Mm. And, I'm out to normalize codependence. That's my main, one of my main purposes. One of my purposes with my work is I'm out to normalize it. It's so common. It's so common to be dissociated from self. And I work with people who are high achievers who identify as codependent. And like, what I mean by that is, you could have a job and the bills are paid and everything on the outside looks fairly decent. Your car is decent, you got a nice place, but you don't have a voice with your partner, or you don't have a voice with your boss. And codependence is sneaky. It could not be very obvious on the outside and even to oneself. Mm. And then when we dig a little deeper, I have a lot of clients who go, I didn't even realize for 20 years I was codependent in this marriage. I didn't realize it. And then we become conscious of our codependence. We go, oh, for this entire time, I thought working hard to appease my partner meant I was just doing a good job and being a good partner. Didn't realize it's completely overlooking my own preferences and desires. And this martyrdom of codependence also can seem like intimacy, giving. I love them so much that I'm giving, but we're not loving ourselves because now our tank is like more than empty. Loving into exhaustion is actually only profitable when someone's dying and you love them, you give, you're exhausted. Okay. But the thing is, in codependence, we're often in a perceived emergency state, just giving, 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 giving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's such a worthwhile thing to talk about, the martyrdom, because you can seem like such a good person, but at the end of the day, at what cost is the giving, giving, giving having on your own life, really? And if you're in a state of exhaustion and realizing that something needs to change in your life, and how you're going to do that, and why is it, like you were saying about communication, people can have a hard time communicating with their partners or their bosses, or maybe friendship groups? Like, why do we as codependents have such a fear around asking? I mean, we may not even know what we want, is half the problem, but
yeah, exactly. It's a good question. So I do these videos called Fridays with Fidelman, and the last one was called Codependence and Communication. And then I do the free and monthly Conscious Codependence class, and the last one was on codependence and communication. We talked a lot about this, where it's like we're talking, we're having so many conversations, we don't feel seen, we don't feel heard, we don't feel understood. And oftentimes it's because we are disconnected to ourselves when we're speaking. We're trying to appease the other person when we might not even agree with them. We might not even really want to appease, but we're appeasing anyway. We might not even want to give, but we're giving anyway. Or we're feeling threatened, but we're trying to act like we're not threatened. So we're trying to stay in the conversation, but our nervous system is going, something is off here. And so oftentimes it seems like they are not hearing us, but really we're not hearing ourselves. Right? Or they're not feeling us. They're not getting a sense of our mood. Well, we're not feeling ourselves. We're not getting a sense of our own mood. And so a big part of my work is I help people align their mind and their body. So they're actually speaking from complete alignment. And sometimes that's vulnerable. A lot of us codependents think that giving, giving, giving is vulnerable. But because it's like this illusion of intimacy. But actually vulnerability is being aligned with your feelings and then being able to speak your feelings. That's vulnerability. And so a lot of us don't want to be that vulnerable because our safety is hooked on another person. Mm-hmm. So you go, what if I'm vulnerable and I say how I feel and then they don't hear me and then I'm going to feel even worse? Well, if your safety is not hooked on another person, then you are actually free to be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And you're free to feel whatever there is to feel with whatever that they say. Mm-hmm. Because really we're saying, what if they say something that is harsh? Well, I turn the tables around. I say, well, actually what you're really afraid of is how you're going to feel when they say that thing. It's not about them. It's about us and our experience and our interpretations and our projections. And so in my work, we expand your threshold for feeling and sensation. Therefore, you bring your own safety and you can say what you need to say because you can feel what there is to feel, regardless of how the conversation goes. Mm. So it's like sustained inner peace. It's a sustained relationship with yourself. It's you being able to navigate your experience and not having the navigation of your experience in somebody else's hands.
Mm-hmm. And what about when so say that you were feeling really activated with somebody that you're in a relationship with, and, your body is just, you're not sleeping, you're having a really hard time regulating yourself, and you're in this, do they like me? Do they not like me? Or how do I make them like me more? Or all those kind of codependent behaviors that you're explaining. Like, how can people regulate themselves in those moments?
Well, that's a good question. The somatic experiencing element of my work, or the somatic healing element, is I have very specific nervous system practices so that people can self-regulate themselves in any given moment. And the main one is called the Conscious Codependence TSE practice, thought, sensation, emotion. And so we really practice noticing our thoughts, noticing our sensations, and noticing our emotions. And part of noticing our thoughts is noticing when we are in somebody else's mind, right? So we're in somebody else's mind wondering what they're thinking, and then we put a thought in their mind, they don't like me, and then we react to the thought that we put in their mind. Okay, so that's a lot of us codependents. In my work, we release codependent righteousness, what I call codependent righteousness, which is like, I know what they're thinking and I know what they meant and I know what they need, right? And so we're reacting to all of this righteousness and all this projections that we put into their world. And so a lot of my work is taking us out of other people's worlds. Just get out, get all of those energy tentacles out of other people's minds and out of other people's worlds and into our own world. And then from there, we can be curious, as opposed to righteous. We can be curious about what's happening and with other people. And a big part of my work is bringing us back to our innocence and our wonderment and our permission to ask what's happening and sitting in not knowing, right? A lot of us in our codependence, we think we know what's happening over there. And so to actually sit in not knowing and come from the beautiful mystery of life and ask. And so, yeah, it's like a lot of, there's a lot of different early childhood trauma healing modalities whose intention is to just get us back to our purity and our innocence. And mine is one of them, to get us back to our purity, our innocence, and our sense of play. And bringing us back to relational grief and codependent grief. A lot of it is us, we have a breakup, we have a divorce, we're a month in, 6 months in, and we think we know what they're thinking, even though we haven't talked to them in 6 months. I know what they're thinking, I know who they're dating, I know what they think of me, I know how they're judging me. And so, and then that creates our anxiety. Codependent righteousness, knowing what we think we know what's happening over there, now we're reacting to our own projections. And we're in this like dizzy tornado of thinking we know. Because really what's happening is our nervous system is now orienting itself to a lack of belonging. I don't belong with that person anymore. Where do I belong? Am I safe if I'm not hooked onto this person? So we really get underneath really what's happening. Because when we're trapped in our mind, we're not really being with what's actually happening, which might be like, I feel sad, or I don't feel safe, or I feel disappointed, or I feel scared.
And then it can feel like a better option to go back again, because it feels so dysregulating being alone. And then think maybe we should try again. Maybe I got it wrong. We start to think about all the good stuff that was there and forget about
that. I would say is a lot of that is in the third tenet of conscious codependence, the need to prove oneself. Because oftentimes we go back because there's still something to prove. There's still something to prove to the other person, or there's still something to prove to ourselves. And because oftentimes in codependence, we don't have a connection with our intuition. We don't have a trust within ourselves. We don't have an inner compass. Like, okay, that person is not the direction I'm going to go in anymore, and this is the direction that I'm going to go in. We don't have an inner compass, which for a lot of us is part of our early childhood trauma. And so we keep going, we'll go back to prove or to redo, or to also get that pull of oxygen. For a lot of us codependents, people are like a drug. Right. So we may go back to that person we were dating because now we have that oxygen of the sense of belonging and the sense of familiarity. Even if a decent touch of drama is familiar, right? And that's often how we get into these narcissistic, codependent, dynamic relationships, because it's familiar to our nervous system.
Right.
And it's not about the narcissist. It's not about, oh, a narcissist wants power, a narcissist wants this. A lot of this, so I just want to bring in a little bit of my ideas around narcissism, because I think that I want to be a disruptor in that world, because I think there's too much focus on the narcissist and the narcissist behavior, which is a huge part of codependence, is to focus on them.
Right.
The narcissist wants this. The narcissist wants power. Well, what are you doing there then? Right? If they're such a narcissist, what are you doing there with them? Okay. We are not, it's a big part of the conscious codependence process to take us out of the victim place and go, this is what I was doing there. I'm somebody who wanted to overserve to make them happy. And then a narcissist, I think most of the time unconsciously, receives a lot of service. So you want to take care of me? Okay, great. And we go, yeah, sure. Here, take it all. Here, take everything I have, right? And then we blame them for taking it. Well, we're giving it, right? Or we're overlooking that big, huge, crazy, drunken night. And they did it 5 more times. Well, why did you overlook it on the first and second, third time, right? So I just want to sort of bring the power back to the codependent so that we can stop blaming other people for our experience. I just think that's really, really important. And it's a really important part of relational grief. We spend so much time blaming the other person for our experience.
Yeah, we really can. And staying in the attack and the blame, it's a bit like the place of anger. And then we don't drop into the feelings that are underneath that, which is
we don't drop into the feelings, and we don't grow up. And that may sound, I don't know if that sounds intense or harsh, but here's the thing. When we're children, our safety and our experience does depend on the adults, because they're directing our reality. When we grow up and we go through a healing process such as the conscious codependence process, we realize that nobody else is the director of our reality. So the more we're victim and the more we blame other people for our experience, the more we are in a regressive state, saying, you're the leader of my experience and this is how you led me wrong. Well, a big part of this work is going, no, I'm leading my own experience. And I was aware of it or was not aware of it, but I was leading my codependence in that situation, right? And so I think it's important to be angry and notice victimhood for a while, but then at some point in the healing journey, we have to say, this is how I contributed to that dynamic.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. I think that I talk about this myself, I think there's a lot of value in being in the victim place, because for a time, because that's when you can really, talk about it and let it all out. Tell the story, be angry, attack and blame, and feel the anger, which is necessary. And then we don't want to get stuck there, because that is a place of, stuckness. And until we decide, okay, no, what did I contribute to this? How I made that choice. A lot of us do see all the red flags and go for it anyway. And what are we going to do from this situation? How are we going to learn and grow from it?
Yeah, and a lot of it, one of the distinctions of my work is our traumatic identity. And so a lot of us get into relationships, and it could be a romantic relationship, it could be your boss, where you're stuck in your traumatic identity. So in other words, when you were a child, you had to learn to serve your parents' reality in one way or another, right? Which is become a people pleaser, become a high achiever, forget about yourself, focus on them. And so now we are our traumatic identity in that relationship, your regressive version of yourself. And a lot of us codependents think we need credit and we need points for loving and serving this other person. But really, what you are being a regressive version of yourself and recreating a childhood dynamic in that relationship and blaming the other person and keep begging them to see you. But really what you're doing is you're regressing into a childhood version of yourself, begging your parents to see you. But now in this healing process, we get to see ourselves, and our reality is real, whether or not somebody else sees it or not.
Yeah, that's so powerful. That we are always recreating that dynamic, in our relationships as well until we've really healed them.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we get to love from like the true wisdom of our true current age. I know we're probably almost done, but I had this huge aha moment because I dated 9 alcoholics in a row, even though I had been in codependence recovery for so long and all this stuff. But I dated 9, and it wasn't until the 9th alcoholic where I was like, maybe it's me. Like, it took 9 alcoholics for me to think maybe it's me. And then for 3.5 years, it was such an abusive relationship. And then we broke up, and I was blaming him. And then I got to a point where I go, well, what was I doing there for 3.5 years? Yes, there was rape, and there was physical abuse and mental abuse and emotional abuse. But what was I doing there? Why was I there? What kept me there? What kept me like vacuum sucked into this dynamic, constantly trying to prove myself? And so then I had to look at my own codependence and my own traumatic identity and my own threshold for drama. Some of us like just have too big of a threshold for it.
Wow. Yeah, I haven't heard you speak about that before. So thank you. Yeah, for being open in that way. And we just have to keep doing the same thing until we finally get the message, right?
Yeah, right.
And I guess that's a very classic dynamic, the codependent and the addict.
Yeah. And a big part of it is the codependent wants to point the finger and say, let me help you, right? Let me help you. And I have all the answers, and I just want to get you to see the light. But really, we're not seeing the light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super powerful. Thank you for that, Cheryl. Is there anything else that you would like to share?
And I feel like I should come up with some super wise, like poignant thing to say. But what I will say is that I am committed on a daily basis that we all get back into relationship with ourselves. And intimacy is about being intimate with ourselves. Connection with others is about being connected with ourselves. If there's ever a lack of intimacy or a lack of connection, usually the point of the disconnect is with ourselves. And I think that the more people develop a really powerful, clear understanding of themselves, like you can understand what is operating. Is that your trauma, or is that your intuition? Is that your trauma, or is that your truth? How are you sourcing your life? Then the more people we have in full relationship with ourselves, the faster humanity is going to evolve. The faster you as an individual, your family, your communities at large will evolve. It starts with our relationship with ourselves.
Yeah, that's really powerful. And I like that a lot. Like, is it our trauma or is it our intuition? And I feel like even for myself, I've known that it's my intuition, but I kind of was like, but maybe I'm acting out of my trauma, because I wanted to stay in the relationship. I wanted to have more of the relationship. So I was like, maybe it's my wounds that are coming up. But it really wasn't. It was my intuition telling me that this is not a good relationship to waste my time in. But a part of me was even like fooling myself, like, oh, maybe it's my childhood wounds here. And it's like, nothing's going to get healed in this situation very fast. So.
Yeah, and that's a huge result of my work, is that we get really clear what is the voice of your trauma and what is the voice of your truth. Your trauma versus your truth. So that because oftentimes in codependence, we are so confused as to, is it you or is it me? Or like, we get so confused as to what you said and what we're making it mean. And we have our truth. And then somebody says, no, that's not true. And then we question ourselves. We're the first person to question ourselves and what we just said. And we think we're so solid in what we said. And then we go, well, wait, forget it. We just get so confused about our own experience. And so we diffuse all confusion in my work.
Mm. And last question, if you would mind to define conscious grief.
Define conscious grief. I think it's an allowance of feeling. And there's no time frame to it. You could be grieving something for the rest of your life because you're allowing the feelings to move through you and the memories to move through you. There's no resistance.
Yeah.
So I think it's an allowance.
I love that. Cheryl. Thank you. And just share with the listeners your free gift.
Yeah, so go to CherylFidelman.com and put your email address in, and you'll get your free PDF, which is of the 3 tenets of conscious codependence: the want to be wanted, the need to be needed, and the need to prove oneself. And it'll break down each tenet with the common behavioral patterns and common developmental roots. And then once you're on my email list, you'll get, I send out lots of free content. I don't crazy inundate my email list, but maybe like once or twice a week, we get the free monthly class where the conscious codependence community gets together, discounts on programs, free content, free videos. And also, since we're still in January when we're recording this interview, I'll extend my New Year's discount to your viewers. And so when you go to my website and get your PDF, you'll have an opportunity to schedule your conscious codependence free consultation with me if you're interested. Viewers and listeners are interested in my programs. And so I'll extend my New Year's discount.
Amazing.
To the viewers, yeah.
Very generous. Thank you so much, Cheryl. As always, it's just been amazing speaking to you. So
thank you. Love talking to you too. Thank you so much.
Thank you to everybody who's been listening. Bye.